Yeah, Detroit is. I see why you stay in Detroit. It's a fabulous.
Oh yeah,
place.
it's beautiful.
Beautiful place. Actually, Western Michigan's is kind of pretty.
Western Michigan's beautiful. Northern Michigan, parts of Southeast Michigan are beautiful. If you get out of Detroit.
But the area, the country around there is real pretty.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem
Beautiful.
is the Democrats running the motherfucker to tax you out of existence and make it a hellish nightmare to stay there. I was amused by the Flint, Michigan water crisis recently. That was kind of funny, really. Year and a half, these people are drinking this water, and nobody in the administration thought it necessary to tell everyone except their own immediate family. Their immediate family were drinking boiled bottled water for a year and a half, and everybody else is just lead.
That's great.
God almighty. All right, now, I guess we got to talk about something about weightlifting, don't we? All right, here's the official intro. All right, welcome to the podcast. We're here with Jonathon Sullivan, MD, PhD. He is running Gray Steel, as you can see his logo in the background. Gray Steel Strength and Conditioning in Farmington Hills, up in the great state of Michigan. And we're going to talk to Sully today about just first one thing, then another. What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, that's the way we start conversations here in Texas. Hey, what's going on? This gives you an opportunity to say, oh, not much. Everything's fine here. What's going on with you?
A whole bunch of stuff going on.
What's going on?
We got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Well, tell us about it.
So this is my gym, Gray Steel. It's a 3-rack operation with a Olympic platform in Farmington, Michigan, as you said. And it's a growing strength and conditioning practice, a starting strength gym, thanks to you. And
we get to send Rogue an invoice for the advertisement?
Sure, go ahead.
Look behind you, right? You say,
Yep.
That's in perfect focus, by the way. Right. Your hair is out of focus. You're less Romulan looking today, but
my hair is always out of focus.
It's out of focus, and Rogue is in pretty sharp focus. We've got some technical issues. Sullivan's laptop was manufactured in the late 1970s, and there are optical quality problems with it. So we're just going to play like we're just going to pretend as though this is up to broadcast standards and just go ahead forward with it. Okay, so who do you train at Gray Steel?
Gray Steel is we're specializing in training people in their 50s and 60s and 70s and beyond. So we're very focused on training masters athletes here. We have a semi-private model of training. We train 2 days a week. That's when we're open because, as you know, I have a day job, at least for the time being.
Well, you ought to quit that.
What's that?
You ought to quit that.
Yeah, I know.
Quit your day job.
I know that. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, so the temptation is quite strong.
I'm sure
and
it is.
If my practice keeps growing, if my coaching practice keeps going this way, I'll have to give it due consideration.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Sullivan works in the ER at Detroit Free Hospital, or whatever they call that up there, the Free County Hospital, which means Detroit Receiving Hospital, which means that his hospital receives everybody that's been shot in essentially North America. And if I am shocked that they have not drafted you and deployed you to Iraq or Afghanistan, because if there's anybody that knows how to put people back together after being destroyed by warfare, it is you.
Some of my colleagues did in fact serve in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Did they talk to you about that?
The individual in particular that I'm thinking about doesn't talk about it much. He doesn't like to talk about it.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't. But no, I'm saying, did they come talk to you?
They
Did they
did.
talk to you?
I did my time. I did my time in the Marine Corps in the late '70s, early '80s.
But you weren't a doctor then. You weren't an
I was not a
expert
doctor then,
in battlefield triage like you are now.
short, not long after we got into this clusterfuck in Mesopotamia and Afghanistan,
Yeah.
I was contacted by the Navy recruiters, and they said they'd be more than happy to commission me a naval medical officer and let me go back and serve with my old Marine Corps buddies.
Isn't that sweet of
And
them?
I said, you'd let me serve with them in Hawaii, right? And they said, well, not exactly.
Not exactly Hawaii.
So
And
that conversation.
you'd probably have to go in as a captain, wouldn't you?
They told me lieutenant commander, but.
Was that right?
Yeah.
What is that?
They're recruiters. Recruiters.
I don't know Navy rank. What is Navy rank? Lieutenant commander. Is that the equivalent of
Lieutenant commander is like a lieutenant.
That's like
colonel.
a captain, isn't it?
No, it's like a major. Commander is like a lieutenant colonel, and captain's like a colonel.
Huh. So,
Yeah.
that's a little better than they normally do. As far as I know, medical personnel that come in as I better shut up. I don't know. But I'd heard that captain is what they give you when you come in just out of college as a doctor, captain. Is that right?
Generally speaking, yes.
Sometimes major, depending on how bad they want you.
Well, yeah, at that point I wasn't like green out of medical school either. So
right.
I had some credentials, and I had some military experience, and
well, you'd be a keeper.
Let's face it, they were hard up. And as I was trying to say before, let's not set aside the possibility that because they were recruiters, they were lying out their asshole to me.
It could very well have been. They probably were because they were recruiters. Recruiters being famous for that.
Yes. They're not the most forthright
of individuals.
People in the military.
Right.
No.
Right. And then you would have been put in the unpleasant position of having to come back, hunt them down, and kill them. And you didn't want to have to do that. So no, you did the right thing. You did the right thing.
It was never going to happen.
Good.
It was never going to happen.
Good, because
I did my time in uniform.
Yeah, we wouldn't
during peacetime. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, it still showed you how to kill people and break things, right?
They did.
Did you like being in the Marines, Sully? Nobody's talked to you about this. Did you like being in the Marines?
I liked it more in retrospect. It wasn't until I got out and a little while after I got out that I realized how much I did like it and how important it was to my development. I was pretty much a punk.
Well, this is late 70s, you said, so that would have been, you're a little younger than I am, so you would have been just out of high school at Marine Corps age. And I'll tell you a little secret. It would have been better for me to have come out of high school and gone into the military than it would have been for me to go straight into college, because I was not ready to go into college.
I wasn't either.
And I just was not. I was not in terms of maturity or intellectual development prepared for that. And here I was in college wasting a bunch of time treating it like it was the 14th grade. And I should have done the same thing. But when I just gotten out of high school, we had just gotten out of Vietnam, and there weren't many people that were in the mood to go in the military at that point. It just was everybody had a bad taste in their mouth about it. And in retrospect, that would have been the smartest thing for me to do, is go in, grow up, and then go to school. It's what I should have done.
That's what it did for me. It collimated my beam, and it gave me a lot of life skills that I didn't have up to that point, and gave me some ambition, and really squared me away.
Yeah, put some structure into the experience at the same time, huh?
Yeah. And it was good. It was a good tour, and like I said, it was a peacetime tour. I didn't have to kill anybody. Nobody was trying to kill me, except for my company sergeant major. He was trying to kill me, but other than that, nobody was trying to kill me. And so,
well, we're all happy they didn't get that done. So here we are. It's 2016, and I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we are sitting here in April of 2016 on the cusp of a development in the application of exercise, especially in older populations. Now, it may be that you and I are being optimistic about that, but I believe that more and more people are beginning to realize that the government's advice to walk from the outside of the parking lot into the store and back out to the car is insufficient physical activity to maintain quality of life as we age. And
Yeah.
let's talk about that. We seem to have just finished a little project here, haven't we, Dr. Sullivan?
We did. We finished a little project. Well, it's almost finished.
Well, it's in our lap now. You're done.
Yeah, it's in your lap now. You and Asgard commissioned Andy Baker and myself to produce a volume on training for older adults, strength training for older adults. And Andy and I have been working hard on this for, what has it been, 3.5 years?
Well, that's probably an exaggeration. I think a year and a half. You guys have been actively writing it for a year and a half. It's taken you longer than that?
Yeah.
Good Lord, that's a long time.
I think we've been at it for, well, I've been at it for 3 years. And there's a funny story that I'm not going to share in this forum, but Andy came on about a year and a half, two years ago, because you commissioned us separately to do the same project. And then
I thought you weren't going to share that.
Yeah, that's sort of.
Well, you decided to go ahead. And, all right.
And then we integrated, and I think we have produced something that is greater than the sum of its parts.
Well, do you understand what I did there? I was lying to both of you. What I said is Baker, really nobody's even attempted to write down all these programs for older people. And I told you, Sully, nobody's ever talked about the theory and reasoning behind why we ought to do weight training for older people. And so, thus, I built a high level of enthusiasm in these two individual efforts. And then, like a craftsman, I melded them.
You annealed the two alloys together, right?
Melded them, welded, melded, reformed into a fiery hot blade of precision and accuracy and information.
Fucking master plan.
Absolutely.
The way you planned it from the beginning.
Yes.
From the very fucking beginning.
Exactly what happened. So I'm glad we didn't reveal anything too embarrassing there. So anyway, the final product, amazingly enough, is quite a piece of work. It's going to take us, due to the advanced nature of this text, it's going to take us a little bit of time to lay it out because it has to be done correctly. And Steph, Dr. Bradford, who produces all of the layout paste up you see in the books, and who produces the excellent website and the excellent Kindle versions of all these books that all, amazingly enough, work perfectly well on Kindle readers. She's a meticulous individual, and when this book is done, it is going to be the only thing in print of its nature. Serious training approach to exercise for older people. And the thing's very heavily footnoted, it's heavily annotated. All of the studies are right there for those of you skeptical people to verify the statements made against. And as a result, I think what you'll find is that there is a new sheriff in the county with respect to how to deal with being 65. And this is going to make a big difference. It's going to be very difficult to refute, A. It's going to be very difficult to refute. And B, it's going to be amazingly easy to implement, both of which are terribly important components of this thing.
And both of which is exactly what we all wanted to accomplish with this project. First of all, we wanted to end the argument and just say, this is why, and basically overwhelm people with our argument for why it is that a barbell-based approach to strength training is the exercise prescription for aging adults in the 21st century, to give them an idea of what kinds of equipment they're going to need, what kinds of exercises they're going to do, what kind of resources they're going to need, give them an overview of the exercises, and an incredibly in-depth examination of how those exercises are used in a strength training program or exercise prescription, depending on how you want to look at it, for people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. And Andy and I we're really proud of what we accomplished, and we think it will be the definitive text on training for health and for strength and for function for older adults.
I don't think there's any thinking about it. I don't think there's anyone that's ever approached it at this level. No one has ever approached it at this level. Hell, the previous treatment was in practical programming, and that consisted of 5 or 6 pages. And that was far beyond anything that had ever been written about.
Right.
And here we've got an entire book. And in a nutshell, probably the best way to condense a little blurb for the book is that the process of stress, recovery, and adaptation applies to all living things, including 65-year-old people. And if we correctly manipulate these variables, we produce a healthier organism by correctly manipulating a disruption in homeostasis and correctly designing recovery strategies and correctly programming this model for continued linear increases in strength. We produce linear increases in strength, and strength is the best thing. So you have anything to add to that? Is that concise?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing.
Yes.
But I think the sort of tack that we take with the whole book is that when we're doing this, we're doing a kind of medicine. We're implementing an exercise prescription. The exercise prescription for the aging adult, whom we call the master's athlete, the exercise prescription for the aging adult or master's athlete is a training program for strength, because nothing else comes close to a training program with barbells for strength, for safety, for our ability to dose it exquisitely, to produce that correct disruption in homeostasis and recovery and adaptation. Nothing else is as comprehensive because, as we've made the argument many times before, strength brings power, it brings along endurance, it brings along mobility and balance and body composition and all of the general fitness attributes. Nothing else comes close in terms of addressing what we call the sick aging phenotype and the general depredations of aging. And nothing else is as simple and efficient and can be done in such little time with so few exercises. So nothing else even
with
comes
such
close.
Inexpensive tools.
And yeah, such inexpensive
inexpensive tools.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a terribly important component of this that I think that even you and I overlook sometimes. If you look at modern physical therapy clinics that are devoted to dealing with the inevitable problems of physical deterioration, we see facilities that have spent $500,000 or $1 million of somebody else's money on this equipment, right?
Yeah.
Our barbells, even really expensive barbells, are a tiny fraction of the expense of these things. And with money coming into question more and more as an important part of the equation, Barbell training, not only is it more efficient in terms of the results it produces, it's a more efficient way to spend the money that we are going to dedicate to solving a problem. They work better and they're cheaper. And those of you that are still on the fence about this are going to have the case made for you very, very shortly. And
they're also more economical because, unlike all these other implements, they actually work. And because they work, they actually get used. They don't gather dust somewhere, you're talking about the thing that you fold up and put under the bed and never gets used. So think about how much money Americans have spent on exercise implements that are gathering dust in closets and garages and basements and attics and things like that. Barbells, I haven't had anybody come in here and start training with us of any age who hasn't been amazed at what happens here.
Amazed at what happens.
Barbells, the thing about barbells is they work, and they work fast, and so they get used, which also makes them a more economical and powerful implement.
Well, it certainly makes them a more economical place to spend money than a gym membership in an $80 billion facility that's full of machines that a person in the demographic that we're talking about won't use because A, they don't work, B, the social atmosphere is intimidating to them, and C, if it doesn't work and if negative feelings are associated with going there, you're not going to go. And as a result, you sit on the couch and get worse and worse and worse.
And D, it's part of the facility's business model.
Business model that you're not going to show up.
But keep paying your monthly,
Exactly. Yeah, it's unfortunately built into the model. That place that also has purple walls, this is why I was so disappointed in your paint job back there, doesn't want you to come. They don't want you in the building. All they want you in the building to do is to sign up. And that's all. And barbell facilities are a completely different beast. Much higher usage rates. And the reason for the fact that people who join barbell clubs come to the club is because barbells work. Raculia, our friend Nicholas Raculia from St. Vincent College over in Latrobe, PA, has just compiled a study he performed. He's a statistics guy. Performed a study off of data he collected from the training log portion of our boards, our bulletin boards on startingstrength.com. People go there and post their workouts, and they post them over time, and as a result of that, there's a bunch of data there. It's a bunch of linear data. What he found out was, of course, that most people aren't doing the program the way they should be doing it. What he also found out was this is terribly critical. Despite the fact that most people are doing it wrong, it still works very, very well. This is the remarkable thing about a barbell-based approach to this problem. The exercises themselves are inherently effective, even if the programming is stupid. The fact that you're doing below parallel squats makes you better. And our emphasis, of course, is on getting everybody to do these things correctly, and we know how to do it. And I think you'll find that when the book comes out that you can read and you can learn how to do it effectively too. So, what else happened? Anything?
That's actually one of the points that we make in the book.
Yeah.
We do cite a lot of data in the book. Everything's highly referenced. We're pretty upfront in the book about the limitations in the exercise science literature. They do it wrong, and it still works. It still works in a whole bunch of different ways. It still makes people stronger. It still improves their insulin sensitivity. It still improves their mobility. It still improves their body composition and their general health. So most of the exercise science literature is using what I call low-dose exercise medicine, right? Low-dose strength training medicine, and it still works. So imagine how much is... So people are using homeopathic doses of strength training medicine, and it still works. Imagine what happens when you use the medicine at its full dose with the proper route of administration and the proper programming and the proper therapeutic targets. Then you've got something that's really, really powerful on your hands.
And that's exactly what the book is about, is why, how all of this properly dosed strength training works so much better than low dose exercise. And I think you'll find that when the book's out, we make quite a case for this. Sully, sure do appreciate you being with us. Book will be out. Those of you that are wondering, don't ask me about it on the board. We'll let you know well in advance. It'll be this fall sometime. It's going to be a complicated project to get the photographs all correct and get it all laid out, pasted up, get it to the printer, get it back from the printer, get it up on Amazon in our store, and generate the Kindle edition. This will be it's a big project. So we'll get it to you just as quickly as we can. In the meantime, we'll keep you posted about the progress of this at startingstrength.com. And Sully, have you got a website?
Greysteel, GREYSTEEL.org, greysteel.org.
And if you are in the Detroit metro area and you are over the age of 50, Sully will talk to you. If you're 49 and a half, just wait, okay? Just wait. Help is on the way. Get a hold of Sully and see what you can do.
Us.
Come visit and go visit Sully and get him out of the day job a little ahead of schedule, if you don't mind. Thanks for being with us, Sully.
Always good talking to you.
Dr. Jonathon Sullivan, our good friend in the Detroit metro area, and we appreciate your joining us on the podcast. We'll see you next time.